Hey guys, welcome back to Kobayashi Island. I'm City Walk City Wall, and what you're seeing here on screen is a lot of network and terraforming stuff in the old harbor area that I did before the start of the episode. There was a lot of deleting and redoing and that kind of stuff. I didn't want to bore everyone by watching me just do a lot of deleting over and over, so I'm just showing you the before and after real quick of what got done off camera. First thing I did to build this area was, as you see me now, I looked at Google Maps a lot in the harbor area of Tokyo. Some of the man-made islands here, to me, maybe I'm wrong, seem like repurposed, like maybe they were for exclusively shipping before, and they, in the more recent years, became more modern and full of buildings and things. And there's one particular island that I spent a lot of time looking at on Google Maps that's like, it's really interesting because half of it is really nice and open, and there's plazas and walkways and a mall and crazy buildings, and the other half of it is completely different. It's a shipping yard with huge cranes and thousands of containers, and so I thought this was such a cool thing where it's half and half, and maybe like this island that I'm building now, you know, I do want it to be all new at this point and not have any shipping, but maybe like 10 or 15 years ago, that wasn't the case. Maybe at that point the island was split up half and half in this similar way. So that's kind of what I was going for here. Was in the past it looked like this, but now it's a little bit different. So there's this really awesome transition in Google Maps on this island where the public half and the shipping half are separated by like a really dense wall of trees and bushes, so you can't really see from one side to the other, and it's like totally different networks on one side. So on the side with all the plazas and where the people go, there's sort of like a big loop, really nice big streets, and then there's once you go to the shipping side, just one street in, completely different setup. So I decided to build that here, do a very similar thing, build a different network on this side with a different type of street, build this tree wall, and I put down some big cranes and just tried to get a general idea of basically like the first maybe 10% of building a shipping yard here in this spot, just so that I personally could get an idea of how it would have looked at this time. And then I deleted the cranes and in its place put down this huge mall. I actually ended up using the vanilla mall, which we all, me included, I know we hate the vanilla buildings, but I think sometimes they're fun, you know, if it's just like the one of them in your city, and it's the kind of thing where you know you get a little extra variety for not having to go and download an additional asset. So anytime I can, I try to make it work with a vanilla building. And this mall is based off of a real mall in real life, I'm pretty sure, so that's cool too. Along with this mall, I did a custom parking structure. If you're curious exactly how to make that, I did. My one and only tutorial video at this point is on how to build custom parking garages. So if you're curious like exactly the steps behind doing this, go check that out. It's a quick one, it's like 3 minutes long. Speaking of which, if there's anything that you see me build and you don't quite understand how I do it and you want to know specifically more how I did it, let me know. I mean, I want to do more of these tutorial videos. I think it's fun, but it's hard for me personally to know like the kind of things that, you know, it's obvious to me how to build it, but other people don't necessarily know and want to learn about it. So definitely let me know in the comments or on any other video if there's something that, you know, you would like to see a tutorial video of. Anyways, I kind of figured that since this island was originally only for shipping, they wouldn't have like built passenger trains that serviced this area. So public transportation nowadays on this tiny little island might not necessarily be amazing. And a place like this mall might need a parking garage for people to, sort of feasibly be able to come and shop here. Right now, at this point in the build, literally the only way to get onto this island is via this 3x3 lane road that goes through a tunnel. One of the first things I do to deal with traffic coming through the tunnel is to make like a bus line that has a couple stops on this little island, and then another stop at the bus terminal at the central station. So, you could catch a ride from here to the central station pretty easily, but then you'd have to get on a train from there to get anywhere else. That bus, as I was building more and more, became pretty quickly completely full. So at the end of the episode, I also made a ferry stop and a pedestrian path that connects from the closest train line, and then has like a pedestrian bridge over to this island, and that actually helps to deal with the traffic a lot more than a bus really ever could. Right now, you can see me placing down that first bus stop for this bus line that's going to go around here, as well as a couple of these beginning buildings. And you can see like I'm trying to choose models for buildings that are more modern and are generally a little short, because I want to do like a really big skyscraper on the other side of the island, and I want that to be the focus of this whole place, is that one big skyscraper on the end. And so I want to do short buildings on this side and kind of gradually get taller and taller buildings leading up to the skyscraper right on the far side. One of the things that I think was really cool that I noticed on Google Maps is that sometimes there's bridges that connect these man-made islands in Tokyo, and other times it's tunnels, and that sort of depends on if ships need to get through a particular place or not. It'll be a tunnel, or if the bridge can get high enough, maybe a ship could go under it. But these tunnels that are there have these really right at the end of the road, right as it dips under, they have these big fan buildings that I guess like pump air through the tunnel. And I thought that was like really cool. I've never seen that before, and I definitely wanted to make a version of that here, since this may be like the only tunnel in the city, and it's such a cool feature. I used the nuclear power plant fans from Ronick 69's Dole nuclear plant pack, and I also used the Ronick 69 expressway pillars to make like a series of archways over the tunnel entrance, which felt authentic for some reason. I think that was in Google Maps, but I don't know, I've just seen it sometimes, and I like the way that looks with multiple pillars over the tunnel entrance. I'm a big fan of how this turned out, and I think I ended up I liked it so much that I ended up copying this whole entrance to the other side, on the mainland side of the tunnel, where it comes out on the other end, just because I liked it so much. Just to sort of reiterate from last episode, this whole area, this old harbor, is probably one of the newer developed areas in the entire city, since this land only really became available in the last couple of decades, when shipping and industrial services moved from this area to the new harbor area on the other side of the island. I obviously haven't built that yet, but it's definitely an area that I've had planned to do since before this series even started. It's probably one of the most important places on the whole island. So one day, once the city is a little more fleshed out, that will be a whole 4 or 5 episodes just doing that new harbor area on the other side of the island, where all this stuff that was here, moved there. Anyways, I want all the buildings on this little man-made island to be pretty new looking, since they all got built, in the last like 10 or 15 years maybe. And the fact that this used to be like a shipping area definitely informs how the buildings are arranged, you know, the plots of land, and definitely the road layout, and sort of the types and the styles of buildings that are here, that they're more recent models. This looped road network I took directly from that island in the Tokyo harbor, where there's basically like a very large road that does a loop around the whole edge of the island, and that's pretty much the main road on the island, the only service road that's not like the highway that runs through the center of it. And I wanted to do that here, and I ended up making it one way, which, you know, maybe isn't super realistic, but actually ended up really helping with traffic, just so that this whole island is just like one loop. Another feature that I just liked so much and felt was so real and easy to make this island look cool was, most of these islands in Japan have like pedestrian pathways around the edge, along the water, and that particular island in Tokyo on Google Maps has a few parks along the water too. And so I thought I could do something really cool with like a waterside park, that this path sort of starts there, and then it goes around the whole edge of this island. That same path just sort of like goes, you know, right between like big buildings in some places, or right behind them, and right up against the water, and kind of makes like a rim to the whole island. I'm imagining this is sort of for people who might go on like morning runs or something. Like people, you know, do a nice walk along the water in the evening, that sort of thing. But I knew from the get-go that I wouldn't really be able to place any Park Life DLC buildings along this path to really attract people. So I wasn't sure how I was going to get people to actually walk along the path in the game. But to my surprise, by the end of the episode, lo and behold, people are walking on it, even though it's completely out of the way. It's literally a longer route from anywhere to anywhere else. So it doesn't make sense why people would be using it, really. It kind of got me thinking about like the mechanics of City Skylines as a game, and like how the pathfinding mechanisms like might work. I'm probably totally wrong, but it feels to me, there's a theory that, you know, for all intents and purposes, pedestrian paths specifically appear to citizens in the game like they're, you know, 50 or 75% of the distance that they actually are, as opposed to sidewalks. Like the citizen thinks that a shorter route will be on a path, even though it's not. I think this is like why, if you build a pedestrian overpass over like a road, even though it's technically a longer route, since the ramps add length to the journey, the citizens in the game will use the overpass instead of the crosswalk, because to them it calculates that as a shorter distance, since it's a pedestrian path and not a sidewalk. So just a theory, who knows how it actually works, but that's sort of my best guess after seeing these people walking on this path, even though it's completely out of the way and there's nothing of interest on them. So it was like, I just got to thinking and I don't know, decided to talk about it, I guess. Right now you see me placing like a fire department and a police department, and I did that because I wanted to increase the land value in this area. Some of these skyscrapers are like level 5, and it's hard to get people to live there without having services and things. So I decided to like hide certain services, like a fire station right here, in a different building, kind of bring the land value up and make sure that people actually live here. Similar to what you saw me do a minute ago, which is actually one of my favorite things on this whole island that I did, which was I made a little amphitheater right in the corner of the island looking out towards the sea. It was something that I saw on Google Maps in Tokyo, like an amphitheater, circular shaped, on one of these islands, and it wasn't like all along the water, but I wanted to do my own take on it here, just because it looked so cool, and I feel like it really adds to the look of the whole place. I know that there's like a concerts DLC that I don't have. That I don't know, I don't have it, so but maybe it has some sort of good assets for this. But I ended up just doing my own sort of makeshift amphitheater here, and I used like a ton of the boom crowd generators to basically turn it into like a little park where people would come there and it would raise the land value. I actually probably went a little overboard with the crowd generators just because this island has really bad land value at this point, since there's nothing really around it. So the fact that it's technically a park with the crowd generator helps obviously bring the land value up and helps draw people to this place and make it look like a busy amphitheater. I did some cool lights. I didn't really have like a band to put on the stage or anything, but if you know, maybe there's a good prop or something I don't know about that could go there. Right now, I'm sort of filling out the area behind some of these skyscrapers. I was thinking that they're really, really nice apartment buildings. So this one that you're seeing me place down some stuff for this tennis court, has a really nice tennis court, obviously, and has like a beautiful pool and an area with some tables and chairs and pergolas and things. I really wanted this to feel like just like the nicest, one of the nicest apartment buildings on the entire island that you could live in right here. I mean, it has a view of the whole city. It's right along the water. I really wanted to get that sort of like new, rich skyscraper vibe in this, you know, sort of like Singapore, Dubai, sort of like new money, new developments. Everything is big and new and really stands out. That's sort of the vibe I was going for with this island. This last thing that you're seeing me build right now is like a ferry terminal, or just not a terminal, but it's just like one ferry dock, and that was just to kind of help with the issue of traffic coming through the tunnel. I was just having so many cars lined up trying to get through this one tunnel to get on this island. So I really needed something beyond a bus to be able to get people on and off the island. And this whole area is sort of like a big plaza. So there's an area where the buses pull right up, and it's that same line that goes around the whole island, and people can go from the ferry to the bus very easily. And in a little bit, you'll see I also build a pedestrian walkway that connects behind us to the mainland and allows people to walk from the train station to this little island. So, you know, I was thinking, you know, it's unusual to have a tunnel that connects to an island right as the only way to get there. And I was thinking that that's probably because, you know, in the past, I mean, beyond the fact that I wanted to just make a tunnel because it looks cool, I was thinking that in the past, you know, to kind of justify this, maybe big ships had to kind of go around on all sides of the island, and that's why it was a tunnel and not a bridge. And now that it's not ships coming here anymore, maybe they don't actually really need the tunnel the same way that they used to need specifically a tunnel and not a bridge. So maybe now there's an opportunity to build like a pedestrian bridge, since the only things that are going under this air or through this little passage of water are ferries, and ferries are pretty small. So, I mean, it's a justification, you know. It maybe is not the most realistic thing, but I wanted a tunnel, so that's why that's there. And I ended up needing a pedestrian path to connect because I was just having such an issue with traffic coming through the tunnel that I needed some other way to get people here, you know, and via the train, because the train is the most important vehicle of public transportation on the whole island. So just sort of made sense to do it that way and build that. So I'm gonna leave you guys now. The episode is almost done. Just kind of finishing out this plaza here. I really obviously enjoyed making this one, as you can tell. I mean, this video is almost double as long as some of my other ones. I'm not really planning on making videos this long in general, but I didn't want to break up this island. I wanted to get it all done in a single episode, and I think it was a really fun episode. I'm really enjoying getting to this downtown area. It's becoming a lot of fun. A great change of pace from some of the rural areas that I was doing earlier in the series. So, you know, just look forward to watching more of this downtown stuff in the near future. That's it for me, City Walk, City Wall here. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and I appreciate you watching the video. Thank you as always, and I'll see you next time.